welcome to Devos with Debbie. We have a great chapter to look at today. We're looking at Jeremiah 10. And it starts off saying, don't be like the nations that are around you. And we see that the focus of this is not on their behaviors, but rather who they worship. And he says, the customs, verse 3, of the people are vanity or mist. A tree from the forest is cut down and worked with an axe by the hands of a craftsman. They decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails so it cannot move. Their idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field, and they cannot speak. They have to be carried, for they cannot walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither is it in them to do good. He's pretty much saying the ways that the people are worshiping is vanity. It's like mist, like there's no substance to it, because you can literally see the process that he describes. They cut down a tree. A great craftsman works on it. He may be very skilled. Awesome. He adds silver and gold. They hammer it. They do all these things. And their idols can't speak, can't move, can't walk. They have to be carried. And they can't do evil. And they can't do good. Because in them, there is no life. And I think there's a literal thing there. A literal thing there saying they don't breathe. There's no breath. There's no life in them. Later in verse 14, it says, and there is no breath in them. For his images are false, and there is no breath in them. So there's no life in these idols. But then there's something deeper too. There's no life in these idols. Like, you're looking for something to enhance your walk. And this lifeless thing isn't going to do it, because it has no life in it. And verse 6 offers the answer, and it's just interesting. You can feel Jeremiah just bursting out into worship. Pardon this. I clicked. There we go. He says, there is none like you, O Lord. You are great, and your name is great in might. And he repeats that phrase, there's none like you. I mean, if you're like me, a song comes to mind with this, there is none like you. No one else can search my heart like you do. And I could search for all eternity longs and find there is none like you. Messed up the lyric there, but it's so good. And I just feel like in the middle of this, like, critique, Jeremiah just stops and he's looking at the lifeless idol, and then he's like looking and thinking like, oh my gosh, there is literally no comparison to God. The best thing that humans can come up with is literally a piece of wood that they decorate and have to carry around. There is none like God. And he also makes this interesting statement in verse 8. He says, they are both stupid and foolish. He's talking about like the nations who design idols. It says they are both stupid and foolish. The instructions of idols is but wood. And that's just interesting to me, because he's saying like what the idols can teach you is like wood. The best thing you can get out of it is like wood. Learning how to craft wood. Just funny to think about. Yeah, but it makes you think like, okay, if the idols can just give us like lifeless, inanimate object, what could a living God do? Verse 10 says, but the Lord is the true God. He is the living God and the everlasting King. At his wrath, the earth quakes, and the nations cannot endure his indignation. God is alive. The God we serve is a living God. Not only that, he is king over all creation forever. And we also see he's the creator in verse 12. It says, "It is he who made the earth by his power, who established the world with his wisdom, and by his understanding stretched out the heavens." And I find great comfort in this, just thinking God is alive and he is in control. And I had a moment like Jeremiah, just thanking God and realizing I serve the living God. All other gods, lowercase g, don't compare. There's none like the God that I worship. And he's alive and active in creation. God's really sad for his people's foolishness in worshiping idols. And you see this played out. You know, every man is stupid without knowledge. Every goldsmith is put to shame by his idols. For his images are false and there is no breath in them. Verse 14, it sounds like he's like, you know, being pretty harsh to his people, the way that his tone is. But I think it's also this sadness. If we read it like, every man just doesn't know. They're unaware. They're ignorant. Sorry for this lighting. That's how it is. Yeah, we just see this sadness. And we see this sadness too in that God wants to dwell with his people, but he can't. There's something broken in the process. He says, my tent, like where he would dwell with his people, is destroyed, and all my cords are broken. My children have gone from me, and they are not. There is no one to spread my tent again, and to set up my curtains. For the shepherds are stupid, and they do not inquire of the Lord. Therefore, they have not prospered, and all their flock is scattered. You know, it's sad. He's saying, I provided a way for me to be with my people. There were people to set up the tent and to shepherd the flock. But guess what? The tent has collapsed. The shepherds are stupid. They have no ability to put it back together again. And all the flocks are scattered. It just is this image where we see how Jesus comes and makes everything right again. You know, he takes the broken tent and he makes a way for God's people to dwell, for God to dwell with his people again. He is the good shepherd who not only gathers the sheep, but he also sends them out with purpose instead of just being scattered. Yeah, there's a lot to focus on here. But I was particularly struck by verse 23 and 24. Oops, sorry. It says, I know, O Lord, that the way of man is not in himself, that it is not in man who walks to direct his steps. Correct me, O Lord, but in justice, not in your anger, lest you bring me to nothing. It's interesting in the context to read this. And I'll try to connect it. But honestly, I'm the first to admit that I don't know what I should know about Scripture, having followed God my whole life. I should know a lot more. I have a lot to learn. I'm trying to learn. And in many ways, it makes it very exciting. But because, you know, there's just new content. But I was looking at commentaries on this section of verses, and I found that a lot of them, sorry, oh man, today is an interesting video. A lot of them were narrowing in on the fact that God has given us free will, but he's still in control and he's doing things. And a lot of the commentaries focus on that, like free will and God's sovereignty and stuff like that. So it intrigued me. A different translation helped me out when I looked at NIV. It says, Lord, I know that people's lives are not their own. It is not for them to direct their steps. And this helped me out. It made me think of Psalm 37, verse 23. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. What a promise. Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. You know, we have a part to play in what we do. There's free will. But God's will prevail regardless of what we do. It's hard to wrap our human minds around, but I think the both can coexist. Our perfect free will that God is doing, that God has given us, and then also God's sovereignty, his will being done, and him still moving and working in our lives and having dominion over us. And I guess Psalm 37:23 again, I'll read it again because I feel like it helps me out. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Like, if we understand, okay, our life is not our own, and the way is not in and of ourselves. Like Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through him. When we are establishing our steps, it's not coming just because we're not getting firm steps just because we put our foot on solid ground. No, God is having a part in that. He is helping place our feet on solid ground, helping that placement happen so we don't slip and fall. And he's in control. He's wanting to work through us and wanting us to know that our life doesn't just affect us. And our life is not just our own. Our life is God's. And there are other people on this earth that our lives are affecting in positive ways and in negative ways. I'm reminded of this song. I don't know how to pronounce the name of the artist, but it's sort of a chill hit song. The artist is Ngoga. I think I'm saying that right. But the chorus goes, order my steps, eyes wide open. Lies that I've been holding on to are broken. Whatever you allow, whatever's coming now, I'll keep my trust grounded long as you still hold me. And I think that's an interesting prayer, like saying, God, like, order my steps. Like, I have my eyes open. I'm not just blindly saying, like, lead me, and tying like a blindfold and saying, like, God, do a miracle. No, my eyes are wide open, and I'm asking God, order my steps. And tying all together this chapter, like, reveling in the wonder that there is none like God. And that the instruction of idols are wood, like they're nothing. But to meet that is, what is the instruction of the word? It is good. Idols wood, the Lord good. You know, God is providing this insight to us to help us order our steps and to show us the way. He's showing us the way. And we have a God who is alive and in control. He's going to know the right way. He established the heavens. So I'm pretty sure he can help you figuring out your life, which is just like going to be gone in a second in God's perspective. He established the earth, the heavens, all the mechanisms. He made your body. He made your life. He made everyone around you, everything around you. He's in control, and I think he can order your steps. I think he can help you walk in a way that is good. And I've been resting in that because sometimes I'm like, my issues are too superficial. or my issues feel, in one hand, sometimes they feel too small. In the other hand, it's like, I just can't handle this. It's too much, or overwhelming. Or the problems of the world are overwhelming. I can get in a spiral when I think about all the things that are wrong in this world and all the issues that I want to help with and all my limitations and all the ways that I fail and all the ways that I'm not doing what God called me to do, this spiral. But what unwinds me from that spiral is recognizing God's in control and He's orchestrating everything. Like an orchestra, there are different parts in an orchestra, and you just have to be responsible for your part and do it well. And it's going to be a part of this beautiful symphony, and God is in control. And I'm resting right now in the fact that I'm just responsible for my steps and asking God, order my steps, eyes wide open. So that's it for now. Have a good day. Ciao.